This week in comic books, we get a whole new batch of Night Terror stuff coming out. But the question is, are we just kind of rehashing the same thing here, or are we truly telling different types of stories in each one? I want to break it down for you. Also, in the lands of Marvel, about a bunch of properties that I don't care about, like Venomverse and the Spider-Boy thing. Is this all a big deal, or is this all a gimmick? Let's break this stuff down, but first, I got to sell you some coffee. Check it out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Alright, you bunch of weirdos, welcome to another week of comic book enjoyment. Before we jump into it, just one other message real quick. I just want to thank everybody for the wonderful nominations for the Comic Book Community Awards. I'm on the nominations list. Let's see where that goes. I believe the voting will be opening back up soon. As soon as I find out the date, I'll start running some promos for that here and there, so you don't just have to listen to coffee all the time. So let's break down this week's comic books. We're going to start off with Superman in the Night Terror storyline, and this is kind of sort of interesting. I'll be honest with you, as I'm kind of reading it now, I'm starting to see kind of this theme. So basically, for some reason, Supergirl's able to bust into Superman's nightmare, and Superman's able to bust with Supergirl into Lois Lane's nightmare, and right, I'm not one of those people that believes in consciousness and you can travel to other, like, that's just not my thing. Mostly because there's no proof of it. There's people's experiences of it, but there's no proof of it, right? So that kind of hung me up for a second, right? But we should expect some woo-woo inside of a story. Okay, fine. But the problem is it's kind of starting to repeat itself. It's what you're expected to be or could be, right, versus what you are, right, in this kind of weird sense. Probably the most important thing you can pull out of this is, for some reason, the Atlanteans aren't falling for this whole sleep and going into the nightmare realm, so they've kind of jumped out and started helping kind of control everything until everybody can wake up, right? And then they gave this kind of weird explanation why, and it's because their ears being able to handle certain pressures and stuff like that. And I'm not a biologist, but it just didn't make much sense to me. It seemed like just something to say, right, to get past it. Like, oh, how do we stop time travel? We use this MacGuffin, EMP, right, or something like that. That's what it felt like. So I don't know. I was kind of falling off on this story a little bit. Didn't hate it. I just thought it was a lot of MacGuffin woo-woo in this one. That's the best way to put it. All right, moving on. We got Punchline. Night Terror #2 came out, and this is her dealing with social media and having to deal with things like comment boxes, and also the representation of tech, being in Batgirl in this, kind of like a techie type monster thing running around chasing her in her nightmare, and her realizing that she's the social media queen in this one. And I was like I get it, right? There are people out there that come on this platform, other platforms, and like, this is their thing, right? The comment boxes need to be taken care of, likes for videos, and all that other stuff, and I know that stuff's important to those individuals. I know that it is, but I'm having a hard time believing it would cause nightmares. Like, this is the thing. The Insomnia, the king of nightmares, is going to come in and say, Miss Punchline, bad comment, and then the comments like come to life for the Avatar and fights her a little bit. She just keeps fighting through it, right? Good messaging, right? Just fight through it. If somebody gives you a bad comment, hey, thank you for your perspective. Move on with life, right? But boom. So, I don't know. That was an absolute miss for me. Maybe because I just don't relate to it. I'll go with that. Next, something that kind of stuck out a little bit, and this is the Night Terror Nightwing. So this was okay. So, again, we're kind of following this theme. There's his interest, right, which in this one's Batgirl. And again, she's doing a whole techie, robot-y thing, right? It's kind of weird. Got some of the other Bat family in there as well. Why, I don't know. Barely know these characters. Seen them a few times over the years. Whatever. But what's probably most important in this is the relationship between Nightwing and Scarecrow, his cellmate inside the Nightmare of Arkham Asylum, right? That was interesting because at the end, for some reason, like Nightwing escapes, right? Everybody gets out, and for some reason, Scarecrow's like, "No, I think I want to stay." Now he's before his Omnia, right? He was the Nightmare Fear guy, right? So it kind of makes sense. I don't know. Maybe there's a team up. Maybe we got a long-lasting villain. I hope so. That would be kind of cool. But in this one, you kind of still also deal with the tragedy of his death of his parents. It goes back to the circus. The ringmaster is there. That whole 9 yards. Hey, this is what I am now, right? That reminder. This is what I need to do. The confidence thing to move forward. Really good. I thought it brought it forward a lot better than what I had read up to that point. Next, Catwoman. This doesn't really have to be a Night Terror issue. I realize this now. You could have taken the front end, the back end few pages, cut those out, right? Kept the storyline, connect 1 and 2 together, and you would have had something that wasn't a nightmare, which is Catwoman, her sister, fighting a bunch of people, and being constantly reminded that she does love Batman. Like, there is a relationship there. So, yeah, not really a nightmarish kind of thing, really. Next, something that was good, Wonder Woman. So this kind of follows the same trope, but it takes it at a different angle. So if you don't know, Wonder Woman's a demigod, right? We kind of learned this way back during the witching hour type stuff, right? She's more powerful magically than we ever knew before. And she's kind of maintained that power set. And this one, she's being reminded that, hey, your dad, Zeus, is a douchebag god. He does terrible things to people. Your brother, Ares, another douchebag god who does bad things to people. Everybody surrounding you, your grandfather, right? Titan, douchebag, did bad thing to people, right? The whole 9 yards. The villain's in here reminding her of this. And again, right, this is where it comes in. I am not a representation of my family if I act alone. So she rises up, defeats her demons, and breaks out, along with all the other fantastic magical woo-woo characters. So Detective Chimp broke free, Ragman broke free. Ragman's a character we need to start using more. Now, I like how they're using him in the more magical sense than anything else. We got Aragon the Demon, right? Boom, who doesn't like a rhyming demon? So they're all breaking free. So far, everybody up to this point has broken free, so my expectation is big battle about to happen here very, very soon, because this was only a 2-month run on a weekly basis, so we're about there. The only ones I've dropped off of are Shazam and Black Adam. I dropped off of those two, not because of anything bad, just because I missed them. Like, I completely overlooked them and was picking up everything else. So for everything, I think I'm going to have everything else together after it's all said and done. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a special, just all-around general thoughts on the thing. Let me know if you're interested in that in the comments down below. Happy to do it. All right, so next we get World's Finest came out, and this was pretty interesting. So this is World's Finest number 18. It's a kind of a reimagining of Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne meeting and Superman and Batman meeting. I say it that way because that's how it kind of happened in the book. In this one, we get 2 characters, right? Since they're both from different cities, you got to pick something that's relative to each of them. So one's the Riddler, and Riddler's been coaxed into working for Jarun. I hope I said that right. He's a bad guy Kryptonian that was in the Phantom Zone. He's figured a way to come down to Gotham, get the Riddler to help him out, and they're they're fading people. Not in like the urban sense, but like literal sense. Like they're just fading them into the Phantom Zone. Okay, and Batman and Superman meet for the first time. They meet as Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne for the first time as well, and they're going to go combat this because Superman can read Kryptonian, and Batman's really good at riddles. That's cheesy, but that's what they're going with. All right, next, Visual. The Visual. I like this. So we get a little bit more backstory on a couple of characters that we haven't really talked a whole lot. A female fighter, how she was in prison, how she has super strength. But then we also start realizing that the good Dr. Lightless has powers. Kind of hinted at that before, But now we've confirmed it because he was told that he's created everybody. We don't really know what that means. He kind of said it in kind of this weird, vague way. But basically, I think what they're going with here is that the reason why these people have superpowers is because his magical woo-woo abilities gave it to them. Let's see where that goes. We meet one of his past creations. We also have a new Kingpin-type villain who's in charge of a company, and he's got some evil deeds, rubbing his hands together. More of a Lex Luthor / Kingpin kind of put together kind of character. I like it, and it makes sense. And I've been enjoying this so far. So yeah, we'll keep reading that one. The visual, number 4. All right, next, moving on to Marvel. I picked up more than just a couple of Marvel books this week because there was no independence, or nothing I wanted to read anyways. So we'll start off with Uncanny Avengers pops off. Of course, I got myself some Captain America cover. And I picked this up, and I quickly realized that I have no idea what's going on in the X-Men universe whatsoever, because this is a tie-in for that. Apparently, my understanding, and please correct me down below, is that the fall of mutants is coming once again, and all the promises of a prosperous life have apparently failed in some way, shape, or form. They didn't really go into too much detail with that. For some reason, Cyclops is now Captain Krakoa, and he's got a team of people that are trying to combat something. Doesn't really explain it in this issue. Like they're getting into boogaloos for some reason. Finn Krakoa, to restore Krakoa, I have no idea. I do know it's a horrible design. It is a just Captain Krakoa. It's a horrible design. But, and of course, Captain America, right? He can't have you running around doing bad things in America. So he's got himself a little team together, and they're going to go fight the boogaloo fighting people. That's pretty much what I got. A lot of action scenes in it. That story's kind of lost to me, though. And, right, it says Uncanny, let me make sure I got the title right. It says Uncanny Avengers, number 1. But apparently there's a lot of pre-reading to this. So if you haven't been up on your X-Men stuff or dropped off early or whatever the case may be, you're going to pick this up and you're going to get slightly lost. They don't even bother doing a flashback thing like, oh, this is why this happened. And the dialogue doesn't allude to anything. So I'm not really sure. We just expect to know things, I guess. Next, Ghost Rider, number 17. This is actually part 2 of the Weapons of Vengeance with Wolverine and Ghost Rider, chasing down a kid that's possessed with a demon who's an adult now, and apparently he's out doing horrific things like twisting up bodies into like demonic shapes and stuff. Like he did that. And of course, Wolverine and Ghost Rider are on the hunt to go beat him down a little bit. So this is kind of a reimagining of their first introduction together, kind of redoing that. But then also trying to chase down this guy who's doing these horrible, horrible things. So it's kind of like a mystery / action in it. Great scene in here. They work well together. The dialogue's fun and entertaining. The action scenes are epic in this. Like everything's epic. And it has a little bit of a dark twist to it as well. So I've been enjoying this. I wasn't sure if I was going to chase this down. My only complaint is now I have to remember the title that issue 3 is going to be in. Because they're not, like, they just didn't put this together as a mini-series. They jumped these into other ones. Which, can I just say, I'm just going to say it. That is a horrible, gimmicky little scam just to up the sales of one title versus another instead of just running their own storyline. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, the sales are down for, let's say, Ghost Rider. Hey, I got this epic event. Hey, you're going to have to jump around from title to title to understand what's going on. Just to up the sales in it, that's so cheap. That is some chintzy stuff right there. I'm just saying. All right, moving on. Death of the Venomverse. So I got this because of all this great hype about this Kid Venom. Who is Kid Venom? He's a version of Venom, just like the Spider-Verse. There's a Venomverse. Actually, he's not even in the mainline story. He's like at the back end a few pages. So my curiosity and my question to the community out there, is this a cameo appearance, or is this first full appearance, or brief appearance, or what verbiage are we going to put around this to inflate the value of this character right now? I'll let you decide. But the mainline story in here, basically Carnage has gone out there And he's just slaying bodies, because the more bodies he slays, the more powers he gets, right? It's kind of like that whole Highlander thing, there can only be one. And of course, there's a team trying to stop him. In this one, we get introduced to the Venom 6, which are just knockoff Spider-Man characters from that famous comic book run. Only now they're Venomized, because everything can be Venomized. And of course, they want to jump into the fight and help stop Carnage as well. And then, abruptly, we get this story about Kid Venom. That was it. Okay, next, let's talk about some overhypeness. Spider-Man. This is our reintroduction to Spider-Boy. In this one, we find out that he's small difference throughout the rest of the Spider-Verse, I guess, is he's actually scientifically spliced with spiders. He's got extra eyes that he had to learn to pop out, and he learned how to use them from a blind man. You know, Daredevil, because why not? Whatever. So we'll just move on. So in this one, we get Spider-Man does not want this kid to be like a sidekick or a superhero or any of that stuff, but that doesn't really give him any option, does it? Like, he's half spider and can shoot webs and climb walls. And his separated power set, I guess, if you will, is if he can touch things, he knows if the last person that touched it is in trouble or not. It's like a psychic sense to it. I don't know what spider does that, but whatever. Let's just keep moving forward with it. All in all, what you do need to know about this comic book is everything in this one is epic and bright. Like, there is the movements of the characters, the epic stances, like everything is just heroic throughout this thing. I love the artwork in this. It's so much better than the story, and it makes more sense than most of the storyline. But for the most part, I will not be chasing this down. Now, the solicitation called this a reintroduction. My guess is, much like the Venomverse deal with our Kid Venom, they're going to change some verbiage around to make this seem like it's more than it actually is. So yeah, be on the lookout for that kind of stuff, because that stuff doesn't last in value very long. I'm just throwing it out there for people. Alright guys, that's my haul this week. Again, thank you for the nominations for the Comic Book Community Awards. I believe what happens now is they take the nominations, whoever got the most nominations for a particular category, they'll bring those back out so you'll have a selection of people to vote for. This takes all year, or almost all year. So it's a process. But I can't tell you how proud I am to be on there. Me and the Evil Layer actually made it. That's kind of weird. But yeah, appreciate it. And don't forget, coffee link down below, merch link down below, and an Evil Layer video will be popping out here soon towards the end of the month, where I entered the Veterans Creative Arts Festival. I entered a piece for it. Haven't heard anything back yet, but we'll have that video done for you as well. Alright guys, I got nothing else. I gotta get out of here. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.